of internationality. So the group is presenting communal level cybersecurity incidents in the Slovak Republic. So please, the stage is yours. You have 20 minutes to present your work, and if you can keep it a bit shorter in order to have questions at the end of your presentation. So please.
Thank you so much. My name is Ondra Mitar. I'm the second author.
We cannot hear you. Open the...
I'm going to share this.
Okay, fantastic, good.
It's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen, hopefully. Maybe a quick check. Are the slides moving?
Okay, good. We can.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So once again, I'm very pleased to be part of this ICCSA conference after years. I would like at the beginning of my presentation express my great respect and appreciation for the committee members and also the chairs who once again put together a high quality program and interesting topics. As it was said, my name is Ondra Mitar. I'm the second author of this study, and I currently work at Pavel Jozef Šafárik University in Košice at the Faculty of Public Administration. With my colleagues, we focus our research activities on utilization of ICT, smart and digital solutions implemented by the municipalities and cities, mainly as the reflection of twin and triple transition, particularly social media, disinformation, smart and green measures, and many, many other interesting things. And that is also the main reason why we put together this study focused on communal cybersecurity as the new evolving topic and very with very pressure of increasing cybersecurity threats at the communal level. If we briefly start with the aim, the study aims to realize preliminary research that is really important to say at the beginning on the bottom-up responses of local governments which are facing cyber attacks. Using the multiple case study method, the study analyzed intentionally selected case studies within the Slovak Republic framework between 2018 and 2025. And we are trying to answer the research question whether cybersecurity can be assumed as a significant priority or the policy agenda at the local level. Through this analysis, the study intends to provide valuable insight into how local governments can strengthen their cybersecurity. The study begins also with the theoretical examination of cybersecurity issues, and we try to point out that and put the emphasis on impact of or the role of municipalities and cities in the cybersecurity agenda, because they are creating autonomous and very specific agenda different to national approaches. If you would like to also mention that the study is the outcome of the beginnings of the project Cybersecurity Competence Center at our university. The main goal of this project, funded by the Ministry of Investment and Regional Development and Informatization of the Slovak Republic, is to put together educational research and also the expert activities which are focusing and trying to make better or more sophisticated information and cybersecurity and also data protection activities at all levels of the government. So we are focusing in this study at the local level and the level of cities and municipalities. Just very, very quick and brief theoretical introduction. We perceive that municipalities and cities are important actor in this kind of policy when facing cybersecurity threats. If you would like to say that municipalities and cities have to face modern trends and challenges. These trends help them to improve their own functioning and also help them to improve the provision of public services, definitely. Many municipalities and cities are forced to develop their individual governance approaches in many other spheres of lives, and also cybersecurity is also one of these spheres of life that is necessary to cover. From this point of view, municipalities and cities are very specific and unique actor, which is collecting the needs of the citizens and trying to provide them with the specific amount of goods. Sometimes the voice of the local level of public administration is the leading one or the only one, and sometimes municipalities and cities just raise questions that are maybe sometimes cannot be seen from the national level, and that is also very important. So municipalities and cities are increasingly using ICT and digital solutions to improve residents' living conditions or living standards or quality of life through the interconnections of the aspects of life in the territory. And in this regard, municipalities and cities are increasingly dependent on digital technologies that help them rationalize their roles and their competencies, but they are also making them more vulnerable. From this point of view, vulnerability is higher, especially in the cities that aim to be more digital, more smart, and maybe they are technological leaders. But summing it up, the growing hyperconnectivity and digitalization in our cities accelerated also the cybersecurity issues, and this trend can be seen worldwide. If we focus also on cybersecurity as a complex agenda, as we see it through our study and as we conduct our research, the growing responsibility of local governments to protect their assets is the necessity that needs to be managed. Municipalities and cities should reflect their responsibilities beyond the traditional physical infrastructure in the city, which is moving also through the cyberspace. In this regard, cybersecurity has emerged also at the local level as a critical part of modern local governance of public issues and public policies. From point of view of the cybersecurity, the nature of cyber attacks and threats may vary. They could be very different. They could be focused on malware. They could be it could be DDoS attack. It could be PDoS attack. It could be many other types of cyber attacks that are endangering functioning or the execution of competencies at local level. And what is the key, as it was proven by the theoretical research, cyber threats are increasing, and local governments are often under-resourced and under-prepared for them. So there is a lack of systematic response policies that need to cover cybersecurity issues at the local level. The most common reason for the higher vulnerability of municipalities and cities depends on the nature of the municipalities and cities, the nature of local governments. Especially, as you could see on the slide, we could mention that there are a lot of local self-government units. It's not just one entity in the state. From the point of view of the Slovak Republic, we have 3,000 local self-government units. So it's difficult to manage and create some unifying strategy. Also, the budgetary and personal limits of local governance is something that also needs to be mentioned. If we talk about the confidentiality, there are document sharing issues with other parts of public administration also, and at least, but not last, Also, the popularity of digital solutions among the local stakeholders is also something that could be the reason for the vulnerability, and also something that affects the level of cyber threats. We conducted 5 case studies between 2018 and 2025. The analyzed case studies demonstrate similarities, differences between different types of cyber attacks. From this point of view, it was intentional selection that is also one of the biggest benefit, and also one of the biggest shortcomings. But as I mentioned, it's just the preliminary research. The other studies will be conducting in the future, and we are also working on it. These 5 case studies help us to identify important patterns and demonstrate the varieties of cyber attacks suffered by the municipalities and cities. And we are also focusing only on the Slovak municipalities and cities. Due to the limited time of the presentation, of course, we will focus our attention on only the first 2 highlighted ones. So I would like to start with the first cyber attack. This was suffered by the capital city of Slovakia, Bratislava, in 2023, when an unspecified group of hackers claimed responsibility for the realization of the cyber attack. What this was very important, this cyber attack, or the reason or the main motive for the cyber attack, was the annual international conference that was held by the think tank in the city. This think tank is called GlobSec, and also the conference is called GlobSec. It's a very big international event that is taking place annually in the Eastern Europe, and that was the main reason why there was an attack. As a consequence of this attack, the services of parking system were not working, the services of city public transport company was not working, also the website of the capital city was not working, and also many other public services were denied and declared inoperable. At the same time, immediately, the city management guaranteed that datasets were not lost and were not endangered, and most IT systems in the city affected by the cyber attack, and also the web page, they were restored next day. From this point of view, information about the cyber attacks were published immediately in websites, in social media pages, and also as well as the regional and the national media. The information provided by the city's management was constantly updated. From this point of view, we could say that this approach was let's say, appropriate at the specific situation. And nevertheless, from our point of view, the hacker group accomplished their goal to disrupt functioning of digital solution. They also reached their goal to, let's say, spread fear or uncertainty among the citizens or among the participants of the conference. If we could talk about the second case, it's from the smaller city at the western part of the Slovakia. It was in 2021. The city of Malecky also suffered a cyber attack. No specific entity claimed responsibility for the attacks, but the cities shared the indications that this attack should come from abroad. So from this point of view, till nowadays, the motives or the attacker of these cyber attacks remain unknown. The cyber attack was targeted on the city's IT systems. The main impact was that they caused delays in the processing of public proposals. Also the communication was between the citizens and the public offices were limited or slowed down. From this point of view, also we identified that there was immediate information provided to the public. So this is also, even if if the real impact of cyber attack was not totally known, the city hall definitely try to inform the public. And from this point of view, it is important that if something is not working, citizens definitely needs real information from the official and authentic source. To summing it up, this table includes the comprehensive summarization of analyzed cases from the different perspectives. As municipalities and cities are increasingly engaged in digital transformation, it's logical the consequence that they will become potential targets for the cyber attacks. Both theory and also our case studies confirm that there is no reason for the cities that they wouldn't be the targets of the cyber attacks from different sources. We also have proven that there is no difference between the large of the scale of the city, because we also have identified cyber attack in the capital city with 500,000 of citizens, and also cyber attack in the small, let's say, small municipality with almost 700 citizens. So this is something also very important to note. In 4 of our 5 cases, the attackers focused on the operability of functioning of IT systems or provision of public services. So this is the main, the most used type of attacks in our cases. Also, very important is the identification of the attackers. Claiming responsibility for the attacks could be very specific. Maybe it is also possible only in the cases when attackers need to be presented and they need to guide reputation and grow their reputation. In other cases, it's very difficult to track the attackers. Also, very important is the providing information to citizens, because if citizens need some public services, from the municipalities and cities' point of view, it's very important to get information right to the citizens through the different types of channels and use the whole communication mix to get the right information to the citizens. This is also very important, and only in one case that we have analyzed, we have found that there was a subsequent informational activities. The final words that from our point needs to be mentioned is that let's say that our study, we have demonstrated that municipalities and cities are exposed to cyber threats and cyber attacks. But consequently, despite their restrictions and limitations that I was talking about, they need to prioritize, from our point of view, the topic of cybersecurity as their significant part of their broader digital agenda. However, capacities, financial, personal, and many other capacities for creating cybersecurity systems, they need to be reallocated at the expense of other activities. And from this point of view, municipalities and cities need to compare if they create the sophisticated cybersecurity system, or they will repair sidewalls. And this is something that is in the current times very important to note under the fiscal pressures in contemporary democratic states. The significant role of municipalities and cities is very important, because we have identified that there is a significant rising importance of on the bottom-up cybersecurity approaches, because they can reflect specific needs of the cities and municipalities that maybe shouldn't be covered by the national level. From this point of view, local self-government unit is if they want to be digital, they want to be intensive actor of digital transformation. There is there is no doubt that they will be they will be more vulnerable, and the occurrence of cyber attacks will increase in the future. Maybe the last thing that at the same time our study also leaves some questions unanswered that is really difficult to say because it also has some limitations. If you would like to maybe outline some future research, some questions still remain unanswered at the local level. Definitely, we need to further extend the perspectives that you could see in the table. Also, there is important to grow the empirical evidence because we were only focusing on the local level. The other levels of governments are also important. Also, there is very important, and some results could be gained from the international comparison of cyber attacks that occurred in last years, and also. There's some echo, hopefully only these times. But from our point of view, cybersecurity at the local level is a very important topic of digital agenda. In a conclusion, I would like to add that I wish everyone a fresh start to the conference in this warm weather. And I'm looking for the fruitful discussion and also for the questions. Thank you so much. The microphone. I don't hear anything. There's an echo.
Better like that? We have some time for questions at the end of the session. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have some time for questions at the end of the session, and I kindly ask you to the next group to start presenting. Next speech is Decision Support System for Urban Road Safety, a comparison between two different city sizes, and the authors are Michele Pinna, Gianfranco Fancello, Patrizia Serra, Sergio Uzeque, and Francisco Alonso. Please, the stage is yours. You have 20 minutes.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. I'm Michele. So I try to share.
Okay.
It's okay. Can you view?
Yes, it's okay. We can see your screen. Please.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So my contribution is titled Decision Support System for Urban Road Safety and Comparison between two different city sizes. So I wrote this with my colleague from Cagliari University, other to my colleague in Valencia for my season abroad for my PhD studies. My contribution is talk about of accident and the other in road in street road, and the studies following the objective of ONU and European objective like Sustainable Development Goals 11 and 3, and in particular the Vision Zero for Europe community. The Europe want to try to reduce 50% the dead on 2030 and 13 and zero dead in 2050. For now, we don't fooling the objective, but in particular after the pandemic moment, we are growing up with the accident, in particular with the dead. But we want to try to give a contribution to reduce the dead, the accident. So the particular contribution of objective of the contribution are identify itineraries for urban road safety analysis, develop preliminary KPI for next multi-criteria analysis and decision support system, DSS, to define priority itinerary on road safety, urban road safety. And in particular, we analyzed two different urban configuration, a metropolitan and a town, Madrid and a little town in Sardinia. The adopted methodology is a collection of traffic and urban elements, intersection of the data with the itineraries, identify KPI for three groups: safety, accessibility, and infrastructure, which are going to structure the DSS, we can call meta, these three groups. The first case study is Madrid. Madrid is characterized a wide availability of public data by Madrid's portal. Free download data set from free source like OpenCityMap, Google Earth, and a detailed analysis on various urban traffic elements. In the left, we can see the internet site of Madrid portal, and the right, we can see the OpenCityMap data collection possible. The first step was identify the itineraries, urban itineraries. We use for this OpenCityMap network. We have also the job portals network, but we choose for this OpenStreetMap to try to view the condition. So it's good. Also, this OpenStreetMap network, it's clear, it's hierarchized, have the address to localization and many fields like asphalt, like max speed, etc. For us, it was just good have the hierarchization like a primary level. We use the primary level to define itineraries. The itineraries are sum of arcs of street. We define 18 itineraries in the urban area, about of 6 kilometers everywhere. The next step is in collect the dataset and intersect at the itinerary. The first group for the first group security, we use the accident database from job portal of Madrid, and in particular, we use the accident of 2024. This job portal is created on updated data, very good and very detailed with many details, like kind of accident. And in particular, for this, we developed the severity index by kind of damage, number of accidents with different damage, and total accident for the itinerary. The other KPI are index accident. It's a total accident divided the distance, the length of the itinerary, and pedestrian accident, the accident which involve the pedestrian respect to the total of the accident. We divide the table, the data in three damage level from damage type. We divide low, height, dead. Low damage are for every accident which resolve in 24 hours. Height, it's for the accident which were for in more than 24 hours, and dead for the accident which have a death. The next group, accessibility, we define many KPI, many index. The first is flow intensity. We consider the max value for every itineraries from the GeoPortal shapepoint files. From the point shapefile, we intersect the itineraries and consider only the maximum value for every unique value for every itineraries. In the picture, we can see the low intensity light color, high intensity dark color or violet. The second one is a traffic attractor. In Madrid, we consider only the main attractor. For us are hospital, schools, and university or supermarket. In this moment, don't consider all attractors like shops, like office, like everything, but we concentrate in the primary level. We consider it only the main attractors which can arrive by the primary level. For example, by the buffer, 1 kilometer of buffer, we intersect hospital, school, supermarket, and consider it the index like the ratio between total attractors intersect and the distance of the itinerary. The third, it's the population density. We consider the barrier density from Madrid GeoPortal and intersect them with the itineraries. The sum of the intersection give the intensity. In general, many KPI are like this, a ratio between sum of elements and distance. Also for the bus stop, but to change the source, we use OpenStreetMap to collect the bus stop, don't GeoPortal in this case, and intersect bus stop with itineraries. The KPI it's the same. In the infrastructure, for the pavement, change the analysis because we use the GeoPortal asphalt shapefile. We intersect this with the itineraries. And so this shapefile is good because Madrid share the asphalt works in the years from 2024 in particular. And where intersect, we use the PCI coefficient, international coefficient. We put 100 for intersection and 71 for no intersection because we choosing for everything 71 because in general, after street view observation, random observation, we view general good condition of the asphalt, satisfaction condition. The yellow color doesn't respect the table, the hierarchization. It's only to difference the value, no, in the picture. But the light green was too easy, too same at the green. But we put 71. The KPI, it's a ratio between the percent of PCI and their length and the total of distance of the itinerary. The other element for infrastructure are many urban element or traffic element. The formula, the KPI, it's the same as the others, but we can collect from GeoPortal and OpenStreetMap many things like sidewalk, second lines, crossway, LED illuminations in the street, traffic light. We mix the element to have a different KPI. For example, international without traffic light, it's another kind of KPI. The second case study, it's Iglesias town. It's a little town under 30,000 inhabitants in Sardinia, in Italy. It's characterized a non-municipal GeoPortal. For this, we use many alternative data set collection. For example, TomTom traffic database, because with my department, we bought the license for try to test TomTom traffic, and many open source like OpenStreetMap, Google Earth, but also municipal office request to data collect. The first step is the same at Madrid. We define the itineraries, but use the TomTom traffic network, in particular with the FRC field, which is hierarchized. But in Iglesias, in this town, in the little town, the main street are crossing completely the center story, the center of the city, and the primary river, it's a sum of different street with different hierarchization, because the kind of hierarchization it's different respect to OpenStreetMap. For the security, we have the same KPI but different data source. For example, we use the ISTAT microdate for 2014 and 2021, and a local policy request for the year in 22, because ISTAT don't give all updated data set. We localization the accident by the address. We can use the severity classification, because the microdata have many classification field. For the intensity, we use TomTom traffic. It's the very motive to use TomTom traffic data set, because we want to have update data, traffic data in this town. The department have just studied this town, but 8 years ago. We want to try to view the difference, but the very particular good, it's good in particular the fast and the about cheaper way to view to have data. In fact, TomTom traffic give directly the field hits. It's the number of car with TomTom traffic count by cars with a navigator or Huawei smartphone, and we use the peak hour to have the max intensity, and we use the 3% conversation index to have the estimated number of cars at hour, because it's not the total cars, but it's only the 3% of cars. And we test this 3% in really live at opening hour in front to the school to test the 3% index. For the traffic attractors, we use the same KPI, but main different way to collect the data. In particular, we use the Lorette et al. Way from literature. We consider it the all traffic attractors. Respect to Madrid, we consider it all, not only the main attractor, because the street, the itineraries arrive about in every main attractors, schools, university, hospital, but also shops, office, many things different. Many things different with different weight. We use the P weight to give weight at the how many people attracted the attractors. The T is the time of operation of the attractor. For example, shops can work for 8 hours. Schools are exposed for 3 hours, because we consider it only the opening moment and close moment, when the people and the scholars go inside the exit from the school. It's the risk moment. The risk moment, it's considered from S, the sensitivity. How many vulnerable users can have the risk to go in the accident, to stay in the accident. So from this value 1, we make the kernel density map. It's a raster map. From the raster map, we have the vectorial map to intersect the value in the itinerary. The sum of the attractiveness, it's the using the KPI index to have the attractive index. The population density.
Sorry, you have still 3 minutes.
Okay, so the population density bus stop, it's the same, but a different source. Pavement, it's the same formula, but it's an objective assessment from visual by street view. Pedestrian number intersection, it's the same formula. and don't consider other index because were irrelevant in the town, the other. And to conclude, the structure then of the next multi-criteria and DSS structure can be this, Madrid Iglesias. We can see the same group meta, but many same index, in particular for safety and accessibility, but different source or no low number of source in Madrid, only geoportal opposite map. In Iglesias, little town, but many source and low indexing for infrastructure. For this, we can say for a metropolitan town, it's probably in the first moment it can be difficult to collect data, but if you have a job portal, opposite map data available, probably it's faster. Respect a little town when they don't have job portal or many data data available. In fact, after Iglesias, we started the study with Iglesias town in the first moment, and this winter continue with Madrid, and wherever just in fast job portal data, we close in fast the index. So the next studios are testing the index and started with the DCS to define the priority itinerary to improve the safety. Thanks for your attention. Sorry for my English.
Thank you for your presentation. Hope there is some time at the end of the session for questions from the audience or to go further in your research. So our next lecture is the title of our next speech is Methodologies for Wildland Urban Interface, WUAI, Fire Risk Assessment Case Study in Northeastern Attica region. And we have with us Angeliki Papazoglou. The other authors are Apostolos Lagarias and Anastasias Strategia. So Angeliki, the stage is yours. You have 20 minutes.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Are we okay? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. So, good morning again, everyone. My name is Angeliki Papazoglou, and I'm a PhD candidate at the National Technical University of Athens. Today, I will present you a study called Methodologies for Wildland Urban Interface, Fire Risk Assessment, and a case study at Northeastern Attica region. This is a study that we conducted together with my supervisor, Professor Anastasia Strategia, and a member of my committee, Assistant Professor Apostolos Lagarias. So, starting from the concern for the study, it is the increasing severity and frequency of forest fire events, a fact that indicate the urgent need for integrating proactive strategies into disaster management plans, a fact that highlights the importance of wildfire risk assessment in urban and peri-urban areas. So the goal for the study is to assess the risk of a wildfire, especially in forest areas in close proximity to urban ones, the ones that we call wildland urban interfaces. In order to do that, our methodological framework has the establishment of a pool of factors and methodologies that can support fire risk assessment in those specific areas. And it concludes with a comparative analysis of the two methodologies that we selected, and they are going to be compared for the results that they produce in forest fire risk assessment. So, starting from the general spatial reference area that we take into consideration, it is the Mediterranean region, which can be called a hotspot in terms of climate change and appears to have high vulnerability and exposure, especially to climate hazards. So, according to IPCC report, Mediterranean region is characterized by extensive heat waves and droughts, also the rise of the sea level. We also have intense urbanization and urban sprawl, particularly in seaside areas, which are very many in the Mediterranean region. We can also see the change in land use and activities, and also a high percentage of wildfires due to human negligence or intention. All that characteristics lead to the increasing wildfire risk, the number of these in the incidents in that area, and the burned areas as well. So we have severe consequences for natural and human environment. Moving to a more specific area of interest, we have the wild and urban interfaces, which is the zones that we studied, which according literature are zones where the urban fabric comes into close contact with fire-prone vegetation areas. Some characteristics of this area are the intense urbanization and severely poorly planned urban sprawl. In those areas, we can see that the activities like agriculture and livestock farming are abandoned in recent years. So we are moving to the increase of touristic activities, especially in coastal areas. As a result of all this, WYIs are highly vulnerable, which leads us to the increasing fire risk due to proximity to flammable wildland, which is the forest areas, the increasing threat for humans, properties, infrastructure, and the integrity of natural ecosystems of those areas. Also, we have severe human socioeconomic and environmental losses. In that areas, we also can see that we face challenges in firefighting efforts, despite the fact that the Mediterranean countries are trying to enforce the firefighting crews. And also we have environmental degradation and alteration of the natural landscape. So, as for the methodological framework that we used, it includes 3 stages. On stage 1, we started with a literature review of fire-related factors in order to establish, as I said, a fire-related criteria pool. The second stage has the literature review of the fire risk assessment methodologies as well, in order to have a respective pool of methodologies. And we conclude with stage 3, which is the stage that we have, we select the methodologies that we are going to implement in our case study area. And then we conclude with the comparison of the results for mapping fire risk assessment in wild and urban interfaces of the 2 selected methodologies. Starting from stage 1, we have the pool of fire risk assessment criteria. From our research, we found that the creation of a pool is very important, because that kind of pool can be a support tool of fire risk assessment in wild and urban interfaces. So in order to do that, we are carried out an extensive literature review, as I said, an in-depth analysis of the current state and especially the particularities of the study area that we chose, in order to identify the contributing factors in relation to fire risk. Then we studied the interrelationship among those factors, and we go a step further and studied the linkages with past events in order to have a holistic view of the history of the area for the fires that we faced. And lastly, we see the data availability, because it is an important role factor for this case study. So, from this extensive research, we led to the point that we can have a categorization of the factor according to the field of relevance. So we have 4 categories. We have the topographical factor, which relates to topography, and morphology, and has criteria like elevation, slope, and aspect. We have the environmental factor, which relates to the environment and vegetation, and have criteria like tree cover density and dominant leaf type. Further, we have the climate factor, which relates to the fire weather conditions like temperature, wind speed, humidity, and precipitation. And lastly, we have the human factor, which relates to the human and the urban environment. And we have criteria like population density and distance from road network. Moving to the stage 2, we have respectively the extensive literature review on fire risk assessment and mapping methodologies, which led to the following general categorization. So we have the experience-based methods, multi-criteria decision-making methods, statistical, machine learning, geospatial analysis methods, and the hybrid methods. At this point, we must mention that from this research, we see that state-of-the-art methodologies such as machine learning are gaining very much momentum due to the predictive capabilities and promising results in that kind of assessment. From this extensive research, we have that table, which is an indicative classification of methodologies for fire risk assessment and mapping. In this table, you can see from the left to the right, we can see the categories, methodology examples and examples of tools and techniques, and also some advantages. But also we have on the last column on the right, we have how user-friendly those methodologies are and the range of the required expertise level that we need to have in order to use them. So this is the case study that we chose to study. We have the Northeastern Attica region. We chose specifically 6 municipalities of this area, municipalities of Oropos, Marathonas, Rafina Pikermi, Palini, Pendeli, and Dionysos. This is an area that we can see that on the northeastern part of that, we have a big seaside area, a coastal area, and then on the inner side of our study area, we have borders of the mountains of Pendeli and Parnitha. As for the population of those 6 municipalities, according to Census 2021, we have 222,914 people. And as for the cover area, we have 712.82 square kilometers. The climate of the area is characterized maritime with dry and very warm, extensive summer. And as for the activities that we can see in those areas, we have in general agricultural activities and touristic activities, especially on the seaside part of the area, because we have increased seasonal population during the summertime. About fire events in that area, we should mention that this is an area that we have recurrent wildfires the last years. We studied the time period between 2000 and 2023, so we have 5 major incidents that we should mention, especially the incident at Mati at 2018 that led to 104 casualties. And the most recent at Varnavas 2024, which led to 1 casualty because the wildfire reached the outskirts of the urban fabric. So that led us that we have extensive repercussions on natural and socioeconomic environment, and that those areas, specific wild and urban interfaces, are exposed to an extensive fire risk during the fire season. So, moving to stage 3, we have the assessment of the risk of fire in our chosen study area. As I mentioned before, on that study, we chose 2 methodologies to implement. The criteria for our selection was how user-friendly those methodologies are and the level of specialization they need in order to be implemented. So we chose to compare analytical hierarchy process, which is a multi-criteria decision-making method, and the forest-based classification tool, which uses random forest algorithm in a GIS software. So, as I mentioned, they are compared about how user-friendly they are, their final outcomes, and the efficiency of implementation. In order to proceed on stage 2, and after we studied our study area very carefully, we chose 15 sub-criteria, as you can see on the table on the right, which we thought that are most relevant to our study area. And those sub-criteria are categorized into 4 categories. So we have topography, environment, urban space, and climate. After the selection, we made the maps that we are going to use on the final stage in order to create the forest fire risk maps. Moving forward to the theoretical, we can say, part of the calculation for our 2 methodologies, we have the calculation of the sub-criteria weights. On those 2 tables, we can see on the left the sub-criteria weights and criteria weights for the analytical hierarchy process. And on the right, we can see the important values based on the forest-based classification. Between those tables, we can have a comparison about the weights that the 2 methodologies give to sub-criteria and criteria. If we should mention something, we can say that on our left, we can see that the criterion for environment appears to have the most significant weight, whereas on the right, on the table with the values from forest-based classification, we can see that apart from NDVI sub-criterion, which is the first on the list with the most important values, we can see that dominant leaf type and tree cover density appear to be on the low on the list. So, moving to the final step on stage 3, we have the creation of the 2 forest fire risk assessment maps. Here, I'm sorry.
Angeliki, you have still 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. So, moving to the stage 3, as I said, we have the creation of the final maps about forest fire risk assessment, as you can see. In that slide, we have these maps alongside with the burned areas for the time period that I mentioned that we studied from 2000 to 2023. Observing those 2 maps, the first thing we can see is that the 2 methodologies give us a different spatial pattern of forest fire risk for that study area. And we can also see a slight significant difference between the fire risk values for the 2 methodologies, with analytical hierarchy process giving us a little bit higher values, which can be attributed to the researchers' overestimation of the fire risk. But the most significant observation that we can do is that we can see that a forest-based classification tool appears to have a better matching with the past burned areas of our case study. On this slide, we have also the same maps, but this time with the settlements at risk, so the WYI areas. So again, the observation that we can make of these 2 maps is that also, on this case, forest-based classification tool appears here to have a better matching between higher fire risk values and the WYI areas. We can see, especially on the south part of the study area. So, moving to the conclusion of the study and the future development, about conclusion, we can say that forest-based model appears to fit better to past burned coastal parts of the study area, in contrast to the AHP results that seem to underestimate the fire risk, especially on the coastal area, a fact that can be confirmed by the recurrent fire events that we have faced on this area. Also, forest-based model appears to have a better matching between higher fire risk values and WY areas, again in contrast to AHP, despite the increased population and the number of the settlements. As final conclusion, we see the urgent need for integrating proactive strategies and fire risk assessment methodologies to be as essential parts in disaster management. As for future development, we suggest, of course, the improvement of data quality and availability, which are very important factors in order to implement correct study. We also suggest and propose implementation of methodologies both prior and after major wildfire events in order to investigate the accuracy of the outcomes and the methodologies that we implement with respect to future events and areas at risk, and testing those methodologies in a further expanded area. And furthermore, enriching the criteria pool with the fact that we should always take into consideration the particularities of the area that we study. And lastly, we also propose, because of the increasing technology and state-of-the-art methodologies, we also suggest a test and compare state-of-the-art methodologies with more conventional ones in order for advantages and efficiency of the results to be investigated. I would like to thank you for the conference and the opportunity to present our work, and thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you for your presentation and for your study, pretty interesting. The next presentation is Net4Safe, Network for Emergency and Safety Management, a platform for emergency management and accessibility, and the authors are Cristina Montaldi, Francesco Zullo, Emilio Marziali, Anna Maria Felli, and Vanessa Tomei. And as far as I can see, Anna Maria Felli
Good morning.
is here with us. Okay, Anna Maria, the stage is yours, 20 minutes to present your research. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Anna Maria Felli from University of L'Aquila, and today I will present Net4Safe, Network for Emergency and Safety Management, a platform for emergency management and accessibility. Here we have the contents of our work. This work was because the scattered nature of settlements in Italy makes them energy intensive and expensive to manage. The structure of the settlements is not resilient and adds to environmental problems, as shown by the rising number of climate-related emergencies. So these events expose the vulnerabilities of the territory that is affected by multiple types of risk. In this study, we introduced an innovative and scalable methodology to analyze territorial accessibility. And this model is based on an initial application on network theory that use the geospatial data and represent urban settlement and the infrastructural connection. So we have the identification of vulnerable areas, the operation tool to support emergency planning, and also a decision support system for public authorities. The last one is very important because it's adaptable to various territorial scales, define also the intervention priority and the risk mitigation strategies, and it can be integrated with demographic, building, and risk-related data. Data that we use come from institutional and open sources data set. For example, we have ISTAT for municipal boundaries and the census section. And the typology of the location is the attribute to that they use to identify the urban areas. We have 4 values: inhabited center, inhabited nucleus, production location, and scattered houses. And in our case, we select the sum of the class 1, 2, and 3. Then we have the structural aggregate that are made from Department of Civil Protection. And this dataset is developed with the contribution of the region and also with the revenue agency that integrates data from regional geophotographic databases, but also cadastral maps and ISAT boundaries. Then we use the OpenStreetMap for the road network. In this table, there is the classification of the road network that we consider and also the symbology that we adopt. So the goal of this work is to define a schematic methodology to characterize urban areas based on accessibility. What is accessibility? Is the number of connection between different urban areas and the type of infrastructure linking them. So the higher is the number of connection that a territorial entity has with others, the greater is the level of accessibility. So high accessibility is particularly crucial, is very important in emergency context. The principles that we underline with our methodology are based on network theory that identify and characterize the nodes while simultaneously analyze the system of connection. In this methodology, we want to provide a support tool for emergency management in 2 different contexts. Ordinary condition, in this case, we want to identify the most areas that are underserved to improve accessibility by addressing infrastructural weaknesses, and then also with, in the case of emergency, because we have to provide the essential geographical information like the location of the event that we have in an emergency, the condition of the infrastructure. The model is based on a graphical representation. In our case, we choose 2 different configurations in which settlements have been classified into 3 categories based on their size and level of connectivity. As we already say before. And this classification allows for the analysis of population and infrastructure distribution and show how smaller settlement depends on the main urban centers. In this classification, we have the sides of the nodes that and the different lines to indicate their importance and function. Roads are shown with different line, and also urban center are represented by the squares of different sizes. In the first configuration, we have a fragmented connection. It's a polycentric and scattered distribution of the settlement. It's very complex and also fragmented. We don't have a central structure and we have a road network that is very discontinuous. So for the emergencies, it's very important because it's vulnerable and fragile functional connection between the different poles. While on the second figure, we have a configuration that is more structured. We have a clear infrastructure network, an efficient connection management, And so we have the reduction of the risk of isolation in some areas, and also the accessibility that is improved to essential services. So this methodology is under development and needs further validation, but it's a preliminary but significant step to understand the vulnerabilities and the resilience of areas that are characterized by dispersed settlement. This method is very adaptable to different territorial contexts and can be an important tool to analyze the road infrastructure connectivity. But the reality is more complicated because the real territorial system is not structured as the model. The real world scenario has a high degree of settlement dispersion. As we can see in the image, we put a typical urban configuration in Italy. To do this configuration, we use the structural aggregates produced by the Civil Protection Department. So we can see that we have the central part of the urban areas, but all the municipality has a high level of dispersion. So the model can be improved. We have to consider the data on structural aggregates because they give us a more realistic representation of the population distribution. Also the estimation of the average number of inhabitants per buildings. But we can integrate demographic data with the information on the distribution of buildings because, for example, in an historical center, we can have an high building density, but very few actual residents. We have to select an heterogeneous samples of Italian municipalities that are characterized by different levels of settlement dispersion and also vulnerability to environmental risk. So we have to consider geographical and infrastructural diversity from poor connected mountains areas to medium-sized urban centers. So we are creating this interactive platform that we call Network Safe, in which there is the classification of the connection between nodes to assess the capacity of access and vulnerabilities within the node network, the identification of open areas and the percentage also of impervious surface. We want to highlight the main risk associated with each node, the identification of the building and population density to characterize the function of the node. But also the identification of the point of interest, like services and strategic infrastructure that can estimate population flow in their concentration across different areas. Then the last one is to support the emergency management plans and a valuable tool for risk mitigation territorial planning. But what really makes an emergency plan or risk mitigation strategy effective? The answer is in special organization of settlement. Because the road network influences the ability to evacuate quickly and activate rescue operation. So we have all of these things for risk of isolation, redundancy of access route, accessibility. So a clear understanding of this configuration is essential not only to plan daily mobility, but also to ensure timely emergency intervention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anna Maria, for your presentation. Pretty interesting. And we conclude the session with the initial talk. And with me, there is Giulia Faccina, who developed the research with me. And we are going to present, if I can share the window. Let me see if you're okay. Okay, I hope you can see the slides. Okay. Okay. And today we are going to introduce and share and discuss our research project, a phygital space-related storytelling of a cultural, intangible, and social experience, the TELVE Humanscape Maps of Feeling application. So as mentioned, here with me there is Giulia Faccina. I'm Letizia Bolini from the Free University of Bozen, Bolzano. And it's a pleasure to share our research and some reflection of the evolving relationship between physical and digital experiences, particularly in the context of cultural, intangible, and landscape heritage. So the research project and the case study we are presenting today is part of a concluded Alice as part of the and concludes Alice funded research project, which was introduced at the ICCSA 2022 conference with the first result topographic typography. And today we will try to wrap up the project and its latest experience, the TELVE Humanscape. So our research aims to contribute to the extensive and long research field of phygital storytelling and intangible heritage studies, and this contribution examines how digital technologies are transforming our relationship with urban space, particularly with the context of intangible cultural landscape heritage, questioning the concept of heritage too. And to investigate this, we refer to the concept of phygital, a convergence of physical and digital experiences, and explore its potential through a pilot case, TELVE Humanscape, Mappe del Sentire in Italian, or Maps of Feelings in English, which focuses on the Talvera River area in Bolzano and is built around the local people's stories and memories. The transformation we are witnessing today began decades ago in 2007 with the launch of the first iPhone. The mobile revolution placed the digital world quite literally in our hands. Since then, our engagement with space, others, and ourselves has shifted profoundly. Today, we are no longer just using digital tools, we are living in a post-digital condition where the boundaries between real and digital have collapsed. Digital interactions are not something we step into and out of, they are constant, ambient, and often invisible. This convergence has created what we now refer to as a phygital space where real and digital do not compete but coexist, overlapping, influencing, blending, and intertwining together and shaping our experiences of place in a sort of continuum.
So we thought it was important to spend some time to frame what we are referencing to when we use the term heritage. And to do so, we were sure to talk about the work of Laura Jane Smith, who sees heritage as not a static remain of the past, but as a social product of the present. She introduced the concept of authorized heritage discourse, which highlights institutions such as UNESCO and ICOMOS and so on, rely on elite circle of experts to determine what is meant to be recognized, protected, and narrated as heritage. Institutionalization has helped to preserve remarkable cultural sites, yet also created a top-down system of categorization. This aspect enforce rules and definition of what heritage is via charter, listing, management plans, narratives, and defining authenticity and significance, luring us to believe that heritage comes from something above rather than something among us. One of the pillars of institutional heritage is the idea of universal value, which promote international cooperation, but at a cost. Universality is often rooted in European narrative, which doesn't necessarily reflect the way many other cultures perceive heritage. If societies define heritage differently, then applying a single global standard risks erasing that diversity. You can see here the distribution of heritage according to universality, and it becomes interesting to see how Europe and North America have the same amount of recognized heritage as the remaining world combined. But then, if not universal, what should heritage be? We again had to borrow. Laura Jane Smith says that heritage is a cultural process of meaning-making and negotiation with the past. Edward Soja, third space theory, revealed heritage as something fluid and alive. Yi-Fu Tuan shows us that places are shaped by memory and emotions. And Brinkenhoff highlights the heritage value of everyday vernacular landscapes. Hence, we can say the heritage is not a fixed object, it's lived, shaped, and reshaped throughout collective experience. And this is how we intend it in its context today.
So, as mentioned before, the case study is part of the ALICE project, which investigates the use of generous interface in space-based and multimodal interactions, aiming to engage users in heritage narratives that are both participatory and deeply rooted in the local context. This approach moves behind traditional static representation of heritage, placing emphasis on social experiences and grassroots cultural expressions that reflect living heritage. And Bolzano, with its complex historical and linguistic layers, offers a fascinating case study. The city's spatial and social fabric is strongly shaped by its three rivers, the Talvera, the Isarco, and the Adige, which act as both natural boundaries and social catalysts. The Talvera River, in between the old center and the fascist expansions, the Italian city, so the so-called Italian cities, serves as an urban limen, a watershed physically dividing neighborhoods, yet simultaneously connecting communities through shared spaces such as parks and promenades. This creates a distinctive interface between nature and urban life, carrying both historical memory and contemporary social significance. Our study identifies several paradigms in how cities relate to their rivers. The negation model, where rivers are buried and confined, often causing flooding problems common in cities such as Milan or Genoa. The dialogic model, as seen in Paris, Amsterdam, or Rome, where rivers coexist with the urban fabric, managed yet accessible. The coexistence model, allowing natural rivers cycles freedom within urban zones. And the rewriting model, like Valencia, here presented in the slide, where rivers have been diverted and urban voids remanaging. The Talvera presents a compromise between these models, notable for its ecological and social integration within Bolzano urban structure. By drawing all these insights, ALICE seeks to develop digital storytelling tools that brings this lived relationship to life, creating heritage experiences that are immersive, inclusive, and continually evolving.
Building on what we discussed, we decided to focus our research on the Talvera area as our case study. While not officially recognized as heritage, it holds a deep cultural meaning for the community of Bolzano. The river and its promenade have gone through 4 major phases, reflecting the city development and its relationship with nature and the communities. Historically, the river supported industries like mills and vineyards, but was prone to flooding, making it unsuitable for as a public space. In 1934, under the fascist regime, the architect Piacentini planned a new district around that area, and the rectification of the stream. But the Talvera stayed untouched, and his portrait remained speculative.
Can I interrupt just 1 second? We will have a quarter of the day for
all the sessions.
Other section and other things opening.
Okay, so we have time also for the final questions.
A quarter more. So
okay.
Please, we are so sorry, but
that's okay.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
But yeah, there was this plan to rectify also the river, but just the main area went under construction, but the river remained untouched, and this idea of rectifying the...
Sorry for interrupting you. We will have 15 minutes.
Chiara was here before you. Thank you so much. Okay.
No one touched the river. But during the 70s, architect Michele Lettieri transformed this area into Prate de Talvera, Talvera Meadow. And this made the Talvera area the largest public park in Bolzano. And this happened with the help of students and the army and the city services. Yes, you can see here like pictures of them working bare hands with some machineries that the army provided. Today, the provincial agency of Bacini Montani is working on restoring the river natural flow, balancing ecology and public use. You can see better the transformation over here. And the site holds layers of intangible and tangible heritage that reflects Bolzano's social environment and political history. As it is now, the place is for informal gathering among different cultures and favorite venue for all kinds of events like city festival, private birthdays, or protests. We explored this through archival research and partnership with local institutions, and we created like a database connecting historical materials and present-day experiences, testifying that space and heritage is socially produced and always evolving. We use participatory design methods and research methods such as interviews and open calls and semi-structured interviews, gathering memories from people across different language groups and both residents and tourists. And this was used to develop the project Telva, which explored this blending of physical space and digital technology throughout augmented reality to enhance the experience and the accessibility of intangible heritage. Augmented reality allows visitors to engage with heritage in the real environment without overwhelming it. Memories, both visual and audio, are geolocated along the promenade and fade in and out as a visitor approaches to it. To maintain the social nature of heritage, some digital context activates only when a certain number of people are present, and this encourages the shared experience and counters the isolating effects often caused by digital technology. As well, visitors are welcome to share their memories throughout the app. As we learned that space is socially produced and perceived and conceived and lived, this augmented reality app enhances collective physical experiences rather than replacing them, where physical and digital spaces intersect in a meaningful cultural threshold.
So, in conclusion, this project seeks to further the development of an ethnographic map that captures the evolving and living heritage of the Talvera, weaving together archival materials and contemporary testimonies. By documenting and mapping these narratives, we aim to preserve the dynamic and collective memory of the place, ensuring that its intangible cultural heritage remains accessible and resonant. Rather than imposing a rigid digital framework, the project prioritizes an approach that enhances rather than overrides the organic social experience of the site. This ensures that interactions remain fluid and spontaneous, preserving the organic process of meaning-making and significance negotiation, which qualifies the Talvara as a living heritage site and its social dimension. The next phase will focus on developing a functional prototype and user testing to refine its responsiveness and inclusivity. And additionally, a multilingual integration will be a key priority, fostering accessibility and engagement across diverse communities, ultimately reinforcing the project's role as a participatory and socially embedded storytelling medium. So thank you for being here with us. As you see, the session was a bit, let's say, weird because of many technical problems. Nevertheless, we have more or less 10 minutes more in order to gather some questions if we want, or here in the public, here in the room, or from the online participants. If you want to ask questions to the speakers, please just raise your hand, open your mic, and ask to the colleagues. And just in case, I will break the ice, asking, for instance, to Michele Pinna, because I see that you decided to keep to let's say, test or compare to very different local contexts, such as a big urban area such as Madrid, as well as a very small town and an Italian province such as Iglesias. And I'm pretty interesting about the fact that, of course, in the first case, you have a GeoPortal and OpenStreetMap that are partially storing also content or data coming from the public, from users. But in the case of Iglesias, you adopted TomTom traffic, that is mainly data that is based on people sharing data in real time, mainly in real time. So if the two models are pretty comparable, and in a very brief answer, what are the pros and cons of these choices at a methodological level and as a result?
Thanks for the question. TomTom traffic, it's the last, with the department, we have both the license for update the just traffic data we had, because the department 8 years ago studied just the city. For us to study, we want testing this license. It's only a way to have the in fast the data to don't recording in the city. The problem of traffic, it's not represented the total of the cars. The TomTom traffic, TomTom Move said which have they have 3% of penetration. And they say that we can use around 3% of conversation. We testing this 3% in a day in when I open the school at 8 a peak hour at 8 a.m. We can view the 3%. It's a good representation, and now after this we continue to use the traffic data, TomTom traffic data. It's an choosing. We can use the antique data set because at the list are same the number of cars, but we want to try to use a new database for our studies.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if Angeliki Papazoglou is still with us. Okay.
Yes.
Just a brief question about, you mentioned that you use machine learning methods and using the capability or the predictive capability of these AI tools. And do you have some insights, or do you want to comment further in a very brief manner, for instance, how this helped or how this combined with more database methods influenced your decision and or your research?
So our main thought was that we studied our strategy plans about fire risk management in our country, in Greece. So we saw that in that case, we don't have sometimes the appropriate tools in order to have proactive strategies. So having thought in our mind that we want to investigate tools that can be user-friendly in order to be integrated in those plans. So we thought comparing a conventional method like AHP and a more state-of-the-art method like the algorithm random forest, but taking into consideration that sometimes on the people that who make decisions or the people in a municipality that are making the strategic plans on a municipality level, which is the lowest on our country, sometimes they don't have the appropriate, expertise to run something very difficult and something very innovative. So we chose a tool on GIS, especially on ArcGIS Pro, that it is in a more structured way. We don't run the algorithm, we run a tool. So we put inside the tool the layers that we use that are specific to our study area. And then we run the model from the tool, but on the last stage, we compare the conventional method AHP and the more automated procedure, and we saw that on our case study, yes, the automatic tool seems to have a better matching, a better predictive capability on the study area, because we saw that it can predict the risk on an area that on the past years we have recurrent events. So we saw a better matching between the already burned areas that we continue to have incidents. We took the burnt areas until 2023, but on 2024, as I said, on Varnavas, we have a new wildfire that burned the same area on approximately 8% with a wildfire that occurred on 2009. So we saw that an automated procedure had a better matching, a better prediction on the area. So as a result, as a conclusion, we think that's a very optimistic fact on turning our research and our thought on a more automated procedures in order to predict the risk. But the best approach, I think, it may be a combine.
A mixed method, yeah.
Have the researchers, knowledge and expertise on a subject, and have the help that an automated procedure can give us.
Okay,
thank you very much for your question.
Thank you. I think we are running out of time, and if there is someone here in the room that wants to ask something, okay.
Start talking about fire risk assessment. Can you ask her how she can use video analysis in her work?
Okay.
I know she's using other kinds of data, so how about using chemical?
Okay. Can you hear the question, or I try to rephrase? The question is for the group with the Net4 Safe, and if you are also using, but I think it's also for Angeliki. You mentioned the Greek. Yeah. Okay. Angeliki, is for you the question. Sorry. If you use the video analysis in order to enrich the data of your research?
These days we have smart cameras everywhere, and I expect Greece is a developed country, right? Developed city. So
Okay.
we also have cameras here.
So because of the distribution of cameras in the territories, if you had access to data coming from video cameras and and if that or analyzing this video could help you in improving your predictability or your
Overall, disaster
in the disaster management.
No, on this stage, because our focus was to compare the two methodologies, we didn't have the freedom to optimize the model and maybe integrate some other, as he said, video analysis. So we have to stick to the same data set between AHP and the forest-based classification tool in order to make a comparison between the weights that the two methodologies give. So no, in that stage, no, we don't use video data.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your question.
Okay, if there are no other questions, the hands raised, no. I think we can conclude. I thank you all the participants for sharing your research with us and to discuss them with us. So thank you so much for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.